Okay, another finance video, another conceptual finance video. I had that one about not retiring too early with, I said some numbers, there were no numbers on the screen. I said if there was interest in me making a similar video with a lot of math and numbers on the screen, and no comments were like that, so I figured the conceptual part was all right with a lot of people. Another conceptual video. What would I do, because I'm a big fan of dividends, what would I do if dividends just went out of style? First, I want to say I'm aware it's possible. Also, doesn't mean if they just go out of style like they have been. Like Home Depot, for instance. If Home Depot just never pays a dividend anymore, they say we're just not doing that. The day of, when they announce that, the price would go down. People would be displeased with that. But it doesn't mean Home Depot isn't a reliable, profitable business. So it's not like the positions I have would just like tank and disappear off the face of the earth. But I would change my strategy. My big problem with the 4% rule is, one, in rare circumstances you could outlive your shares. So the 4% rule, you have a dollar amount in mind. When you make that much money, you stop working and you withdraw 4% every year. And the hope is that you withdraw 4%, so your number of shares decreases, but the shares you still have, the value increases because the price of your position or positions will increase. So you're withdrawing some, share price goes down, but the value of your shares go up, and like you have about the same amount of money, even though you're withdrawing a little at a time to pay for your bills. For one, in rare instances, so I've shown you the calculator I've made for my dividend calculator. I put together something similar in Excel, modeling the 4% rule. In rare instances, if you retire too early and live too long, you run out of shares because your share price is only decreasing. It's great in the short term, it's great in the midterm. In the long term, you might just have no more shares left. And I've plugged in variables such that, like, I retire early and live into my 90s and there's just no more shares left. That's a problem. I'm not like an antagonist of the concept though. It's more the number, 4%. There are people who do this and don't know why they're taking out 4%. I'm not against it if the number is smaller, 2% rule, for instance. Also not against it if you're going to like retire. What does retire mean exactly? If you're gonna retire fairly late, what does late mean exactly? So like I said in that don't retire too early video, or whatever the title was, retiring too early with like absolutely no cushion of money, not a great idea. But if you, one of the examples I said was maybe I like just deal the summer, or maybe I work a part-time job like 2 days a week and make some money, use all my active money to pay bills, and then some of my passive money, which is kind of like my retirement money, use some of it to pay bills and some of it to reinvest and increase the amount of shares I have in my positions in my portfolio. So that's what I would do if dividends no longer existed. Because if they didn't exist, for one, I probably wouldn't have specific positions, companies that pay dividends. Those are my positions now. I would probably, if you remember the video, link at the top to the 3 options that were attractive to me. The mutual funds, the growth stocks, the dividend stocks. I'd probably go to the mutual funds and just put my money in a very reliable mutual fund, Vanguard, Fidelity, Schwab, any of them, split it and put money in all 3 of them, whatever. And the money would grow. The thing is, in order to pay for things with this passive income, I would need to sell some shares. So my share price would decrease. I don't mind it if it's small. I don't mind it if like I'm fairly old before that's the only way I have money. So maybe from ages like 40 to 50, I still deal Orleans, even if it's the only thing I do for active income. Maybe I have a part-time job and work a few days a week. Maybe also, thinking a little deeper, it's a part-time job where I get a deal on something that everybody needs. Maybe it's like at Target or Walmart, or a place where there must be an employee discount and a place where you're gonna buy groceries, something like that. But that's another discussion. But if there were no such things as dividends, I would probably move into a phase that I would call a working retirement and do that for a while. At least deal the summer series at Orleans for as long as they want me to and as long as I want to, and possibly even like work 1 to 3 days a week, such that, and the reason is so that the money I'm withdrawing, I don't mind if those things don't cover all my bills, and just working, you know, 40 to 50 days at Orleans each year wouldn't cover all my bills, but cover a chunk, and then I don't need to withdraw a lot of my passive income. I would be getting passive income, some of it pay bills, some of it reinvest and still increase the positions in my portfolio. So 4% rule, saying nothing else, not a big fan of it. I am a fan if you look into the mechanics of it and why the original person came up with that amount and tailoring it to your situation. As someone can't find his or her car, I don't know if you can hear that, it's kind of far away, but there's a car alarm going off. And yeah, I think like I would feel a lot safer doing like a 1 or 2% rule type of deal, or 4% or even higher if it's not that long. If I did something for active income, which included dealing or something else, but I did it just to like ease the burden on my retirement money, because I didn't want to use like all my passive income in my early years of retirement to pay for bills. I only wanted to use part of it, so I also had some active income along the way. So just wanted to talk about the 4% rule. And man, I worry about the people in videos who say they withdrew 4% of their money on January 1st and they can't articulate a reason why 4% and not 3% and not 5% and not 2.8%, and they're just blindly withdrawing 4%. So it's possible you outlive your shares doing something like that, although what's the alternative if dividends don't exist? The big thing I like about dividends is that even if you withdraw all your dividend payments all year and use that money to pay for things, your share quantity in your position does not change. Well, if that didn't exist and I just put all my money into the Vanguard mutual fund that tracks the S&P 500 and withdrew a few shares every year to pay for things, my share amount would decrease. So in order to ease my concern about running out of money, I would either have some active money helping me along the way, or not be withdrawing very much at all, or like not retire until I was pretty old. Maybe stop doing what I'm doing now and move into a working retirement, and then do that for a while before I like officially retire.
Yeah, I got it at the stadium. Man.